everyone. I am back with another Soul Flow Conversations podcast episode coming right at you. So tonight, we're going to be discussing, a little plethora of topics and stuff like that. But we're going to be starting out with two in particular, and we're going to be talking about whether or not truth is subjective, and also why is accountability so difficult for some. And it's something that I've been wanting to touch on for quite a while because it's obvious that when you're talking about truth and when you're talking about accountability, everybody has their own ideas of what that is. And I don't know if I believe that there are so many different branches from what being accountable looks like, right? So here's my thing. When it comes to truth being subjective, we're going to start off with that because we're going to start off with what is the truth to different individuals, right? So for me, and again, welcome for those of you who are new to Soul Flow Conversations. We are a podcast and we discuss grown folk conversations. We in topics and stuff like that. We don't pull punches and stuff like that. But at the same time, we do not allow disrespect to each other on the podcast. So if you're looking for something refreshing, if you're looking for something cool to listen to, and please tune in, subscribe, do everything that you gotta do to make sure you're part of the Soul Flow fam and stuff like that. So Soul Flow Nation has been around for over a year, and whatnot. It's been over a year. Yeah, it's been going in this second year, and stuff like that. And my co-host, Miss Jessica Fields, she is a very, very astute woman. She, and stuff like that. So for me, I really want everyone to kind of tune in and just participate, ask questions, do whatever you got to do, respond in the comments and stuff like that, so we can kind of get your comment up here on the screen so we can get them answered. And we do a lot of men, women, not men versus women, but men, women types of questions. Because again, this isn't a podcast to tear down women or men. This is a podcast to gain perspective and awareness and understanding of the opposite sex and all of the complexities that happen within that and whatnot. Because I personally, I really got tired of the dysfunction between men and women. And I wanted to have a meeting ground so that we can get actual real conversations had so that we can really gain some understanding, because there is a lot of mental illness when it comes to the dating scene, the understandings of the inner workings of men and women. So for me, this is the reason why this podcast has been developed, so that we can get that understanding and everything. You know what I'm saying? So, and without further ado, none other than Mrs. Fields herself popping up on the scene.
Good evening, everybody. Give me a sec. I'm trying to get Trump I'm trying to put the chickens away.
Okay.
I got country girl problems.
No problem. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be discussing that, having a little meeting of the minds when it comes to Soul Flow Conversations podcast. So we're gonna be having a lot going on this summer to try to make sure we create a very, very special and exciting platform. There are gonna be some changes happening, and all that will be shared as we go along. So, but back to our topic at hand. Is truth subjective, and why is accountability so difficult for some? And we're going to start with the truth side of things. Well, everybody said or told a lie in their lives and stuff like that. Everybody has. There's nobody on this earth who has not told a lie at some point. Whether you're young or old or in the middle, you told a lie. However, as you get older and you gain some perspective about yourself, you gain some awareness about what truth is and how freeing it is and can be. And then on top of that, you also gain some awareness on how powerful and painful the truth can also be. And I know I have in my life, and stuff like that. And so for me, I really want to, just speak on the different aspects of what truth really is. And in most cases, we define that as just not telling a lie, or we define that as knowing right and wrong and knowing the difference in what that means for you in your life. But truth can be freeing. Truth can be upsetting. Truth can be painful. Truth can be um, life affirming. So there's a lot of different things truth can be, but what it can't be is wrong at the same time. Um, because let's start with relationships, right? So if, for instance, if a woman, if in my case, if a woman is telling me how something made her feel that I did to cause her to feel that way, her feelings is her truth. Now, my intentions may not be in line with what she's now being made to feel, because if I've done something, I thought I was genuinely doing something to help, or I thought I was genuinely doing something that I thought she was going to like, and she takes it the wrong way, and she says, well, when you did this, it made me feel not appreciated, or it made me feel like what I gave you wasn't enough, or it made me feel that whatever it made her feel. My truth is me saying, hey, my intention is to do this so that you didn't have to do this, or my intention was, when you bought me this, I just bought that to add to what you bought. You add because it goes with what you brought me. And then, but she's feeling like what I did was intentional. She's feeling that way. So the very first thing when it comes to those types of truths, in both instances, it's a truth. But within those two instances being the truth, there now has to come some context. There also has to be some kind of acknowledgement. Because if someone is explaining to you how something made them feel and how something looked to them, that within itself became the truth in their eyes, right? So you don't get to then dismiss what they say, deflect what they say, and then make yourself the victim. What you do get to do, though, is you get to acknowledge that, you know what? I don't know how that made you feel that way. And because it made you feel that way, I apologize. That wasn't my intention. My intention was to, and then you go ahead and explain what your intentions were so they can understand what your actual genuine truth was in that moment. And hopefully they'll gain some perspective and some understanding as to why you did a thing or why you said whatever it was that you said that brought that hurt or pain to them. And then on the flip side of it, you have the painful part of it. Now, in my case, because I don't want to make it seem like something's always happening to other people. In my case, it was the DNA determined you are not the father, and it happened twice with one particular girlfriend, and it was over after the second one. I didn't know about it because I actually found out about the first lie late in the relationship. So it wasn't one of those situations where I found out early and I decided to stay because I wouldn't have done that. However, when the DNA came back, it was extremely painful. So sometimes when you find out things, or you're made aware of things, or you're just straight up told certain things, it can be painful. So the truth, while I feel like it's necessary, sometimes the context can be the difference between whether or not you should have told a child something, or your significant other something, or a friend something, or whatever. And it could be a very, very jarring situation. Now I was able to forgive and get past it and stuff like that because I was always taught about truth and about forgiveness and about how healing that is. And other people feel a different way about forgiveness and what that looks like to them. And I'm not here to judge anybody on whether or not if they choose to forgive or whether not. It's based off of other people's understanding of what that means to them. So I don't get to minimize someone else's pain, someone else's experience or trauma, and tell them, hey, you should forgive or you should do this or that. It's not my place. So, but when it comes to truth, it's better to just be true to yourself first. Be aware of what it is that what your truth is defines whether or not defines what you choose to accept in your life and stuff like that. I don't believe that someone else's truth should be automatically your truth because you're both individuals. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'll let my plane for now.
I was listening. My chicken still won't go where I need them to go, but I'm listening. This is a good topic. Like you said, one person's truth doesn't necessarily diminish another person's truth. I guess that's kind of how I'm trying to put it.
Okay.
Where, kind of like the example you use, if I say or I do something that made somebody feel a type of way and they express themselves to me and tell me how that made them feel, it doesn't mean that that's not their truth. Even if everything that I said was true. I'm a very direct person. I'm a very honest person. I learned to be honest very young in life. Sometimes I'm a little bit too truthful. Like my friends and family tell me that. Like they're like, you don't have to be that honest. And I'm like, yes, I do, because you asked me a question, and so I'm going to tell you the truth because I would be doing you a disservice if I was not telling you the truth. I do try to, I guess, kind of sugarcoat my truth sometimes, depending on the person, because I know how they may react, but I will still tell the truth. There's some people I'll tell the truth to, and I'll just lay it flat out like, look, this is you this, and you stupid, and I can't believe this, and you did this, and that's ridiculous, and you need to tighten up. But again, I know that there are other people that I kind of have to handle with kid gloves and say, okay, well, that choice probably wasn't a good choice. So how about we talk about other choices that you could have made that might have had a better outcome? But at the end of the day, I'm still telling the truth. I don't know. Like I said, this is a good topic. It's kind of tough, especially for somebody like me, because like I'm what some people call me rude. Some people just call me brutally honest. I prefer brutally honest because I'm going to tell you the truth. But again, I do have some coof to me where I know how to handle certain individuals a different way because I know how they would react. You know what I mean? But what I won't do now, I will say this, what I won't do is I'm not going to coddle somebody who is dead ass wrong simply because I don't want to offend them with the truth. Because again, then I wouldn't be a good friend. I wouldn't be a good mother, a wife, a niece, a granddaughter. I wouldn't be a good person overall if I coddled somebody simply because I'm trying to not hurt their feelings with truth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why am I echoing? Jessica, pop off and then come back on. No, you okay. So what Mrs. Fields just said does absolutely make sense. Because I'm also a direct individual as well. I personally I just won't tolerate something just to tolerate something, just to coddle somebody or enable them. Because I do feel like when you don't tell someone the truth, you then enable them to be a certain way, and now it inconveniences someone else or it makes someone else uncomfortable, or it just you are enabling that person to disrespect another person. And personally, I'm not a person that's going to allow it. I'm a big respect type person. I don't handle disrespect well at all. Because probably I don't really tolerate disrespect. So, but having said that, what she said made absolute sense. When it comes to the truth, because with some people you have to approach the truth in a different way. Doesn't mean that you have to avoid the truth. That means you have to present the truth differently, so that they can digest it, because you know that person and their sensitivities. And by doing so, you still present the truth as it is, but you present it in a more palatable way. And when you present the truth in a more palatable way, it's easier for some people to swallow it, digest it, and receive it. And that's just really, really, really what it is. Sometimes that's how you do it. Some people have a way of presenting their truth in such a harsh way, nobody can really digest it, right? And the thing is that when you do that, you make it very, very difficult to be someone who another person can talk to, confide in, or and listen to, because they really don't think that you uh, care very much about what they're actually feeling or going through. So I must say that, like Jessica said, it's one of those things to where there's some people that you just have to be raw with. Some people you have to just lay it out, and because that's the only thing. Because some people, when they're jolted, that's when they listen. That there's just some people like that. When they're jolted, like Mrs. Fields said, you just have to deliver the truth and take the boxing gloves off and just punch them with the truth smooth in their face, because that's the only thing. That's the only time that they'll listen, is when they're jarred, when they're shocked into listening. Because if you go in there with kitty gloves on trying to tell them something, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. On the flip side, like Miss Fields said, there are some people who are more on the sensitive side. You know that person, you know what their sensibilities are, and you approach the truth a different way. You still give them the direct truth, but you present it in, like I said, a more palatable way, so that they can handle it, digest it, process it, and receive it the way they should. Because everybody don't take information the same. Everybody doesn't process information the same. So when you're presenting the truth, you have to know who it is that you're talking to. That's just like with our children, right? I only have one, but I've raised a lot of kids. When I say raised, there's been a lot of kids around me that I have influenced. So you have to know all those personalities, like my niece, my nephews, and stuff like that. Each one of them have a very distinct personality. You're not going to go to my niece and just say any old thing to them. Same, well, actually, that's what all of them. However, the way you get to each one of them, there's a different approach to each one of them. Miss Fields has 3 children, and she can tell you on her own. They all 3 of them have their own distinct personalities. She knows how to talk to each one of them and get her point across, talking about the exact same thing, but she knows how to talk to each one of them in such a way that they all process it. Same thing with my son. He's way more sensitive than my nephews. So I have to talk to my son in a different way than I talk to my nephews, because my nephews, their environment, what their processing range is and how they handle stuff is a little different than what my son would, because I would have to be a little bit more specific. I have to be a little bit more strategic on how I approach him with whatever it is that I have to tell him. I'm going to tell him everything directly. I'm not going to tiptoe around it, but there's a certain way I have to talk to him than if I were to talk to, say, my nephews, right? So if I come at him too abruptly, too harsh, straight out the gate, he'll go back into a shell. He will withdraw. He won't talk. He will shut down and whatnot, and then he'll feel like, So there's certain ways I have to handle how I speak to him about certain things. I can still get my point across and get the truth to him. And I already told him, there's never going to be a time I don't tell you the direct truth. I said, so if there's something you need to ask, you just ask. Now, if it's something that I don't feel that you need to know at this moment, that's probably something I will tell you. I'll tell you that right now is not a good time for you to have that knowledge or whatever. But I will tell you when I feel like the time is right. There's certain things that you have to approach a certain way so that you get your message directly to them, and stuff like that. And that's just the facts.
Yeah, like Dedrick said, I have 3 children, 12, 11, and 4. And there's just different ways I have to each one of them has a different approach. My eldest, I can sit down and I can just talk to him. My mid kid, I kind of have to I have to be a little more gentle with him, because he gets in his feelings very quickly, And then of course there's Momo, who's 4. Shoot, she's the toughest of them all. To be honest with you, she's the toughest of them all. But again, even with your friends, family, if you're an employer and you have employees, it happens that way. When I was an employer for 2 decades, I knew that there were certain people that I had to handle different ways. I still had to deliver the truth, still had to deliver the message, but I knew that it wasn't a one size fits all, But truth is important to me. It's important. I get the topic is truth subjective, and there are certain instances where it can be subjective, but I think the overall thing is that truth is important. And if we don't tell people the truth, it could be some. I got a good friend of mine, right? I'm gonna tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend is a big girl. Okay, she's a big girl. She know not to ask me if that dress make her look fat.
Who?
She did that once, and I said, "Girl, stop blaming it on that dress. You know you big. Stop playing. That is not that dress's fault. You look nice, but don't ask me if it make you look fat." Like, I'm that type of friend, but that's why I only have like 3 friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have that many friends. And look, she's been my best friend for 20 plus years. Okay. I don't know. I just, even if she wasn't a big girl, if she said, "Oh, do you think that this dress is pretty?" And if I look at her and I know she's going to go outside and people are going to make fun of her because the dress is hideous, I'm going to tell my friend that. I'm not going to coddle her and say, "Oh yeah, girl, you look great." Why? So she can go outside and people are going to make fun of her because I'm going to make fun of you. Mm. So if I think it's ugly and I think you're going to get made fun of, why would I let my best friend walk outside like that? Yeah, it might hurt her feelings in the beginning because she thought she was doing the damn thing, right? No, baby, you're not. I love you. You're my best friend. I'm not saying that you're ugly, but the dress is ugly and you're probably going to get made fun of. So I'd rather tell you in a loving way, or maybe not so loving way, as your best friend or your sister or cousin, whatever you may be, that, hey, yeah, I probably wouldn't wear that outside. You're just not going to get the results that you think it is. Then for her to go outside and get teased or made fun of by a whole bunch of people, and then she's at home crying because she thought she was doing something. So again, truth is important, even in the smallest of the smallest things.
Absolutely. My one of my biggest things is that I don't want someone to come back and say I'm not a man of my word. I don't want someone to say that I contradicted myself in telling someone one thing while I hypocritically done something else. Children watch you, and they watch you when you don't feel like they're watching you. They listen to you when you don't feel like they're listening. And people around you, they pay attention to what you do. They pay attention to what you say. They pay attention to everything. And that way, a lot of the time, sometimes later on, people will come right back to you with what you said you stood on, and then you over here doing the exact opposite and stuff like that. Just so the truth is a very real thing. So either mean what you say or don't say anything at all. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one big reason why I do not believe in someone being so angry that they say something that they don't mean. The heart is the most truthful thing. You understand? Now, sometimes the heart leads you astray because you're going off feelings. However, the heart does not lie about what comes out of it. Because if you're upset, if you're drunk and inebriated, if you are in an altered state of mind, you're going to speak the truth. And that's going to come out unadulterated, straight up, raw. It's going to come out. And
Brother,
that's
hold
the
on.
reason why. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They say, what do they say? There's a saying. There's two types of people that tell the truth: kids and drunks.
Yeah, yep.
Kids will tell you ugly while they're eating chicken nuggets and do a cartwheel.
Yep. They tell you your
Drunks
breath
will
stank.
tell you exactly what it is when they drunk. I
Yep.
don't
Yep.
look, because I've had situations like that. Well, I was a little drunk. I said, no, that was on your heart. You've been wanting to say that.
Yep.
But your sober self couldn't say it because you were trying to be polite.
Yep.
But your drunk self said it. And guess what? I still love you, but now I love you from a distance.
Yeah.
I don't rock with you no more like that. I've had a couple of incidents. I like, oh, wait, I didn't know you felt like, whoa. Well, girl, we had a little bit too much to drink. Nope. Nice try.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, Billy tells me, it's funny that you mentioned kids because Billy tells me I have the honesty of a child. He does. Like when he introduces me to people, like especially when we first met, and he started introducing me to his family, there was like a disclaimer, like that he had to put out before they met me, and he was pretty much saying, "Hey, look, if you can't take it, don't dish it, because I'm telling you, she's petty and she's a child. She's gonna hurt your feelings. So I'm letting you know, whatever you put out, just be ready. I don't want to hear nothing when she give it back to y'all. All right."
Hey, and that's one thing I was raised up under my grandma, because she was straight no chaser 100% of the time. Like, she told one of my mom's cousins who came to the house to visit my grandma. My grandma stood there, put a hand, and this is an infamous story in my family, because my sister was there and a few of my cousins and myself was there, and some of the I forgot what the event was or the occasion was, but I looked at grandma face scrunched up, and she put her hands on her hips, and she looked at her, and she didn't stutter. She looked at her and said, "Ooh, you ugly." I was like, "Oh, Jesus."
Ooh, child.
I was like, "Oh my God." And it came out so quick and smooth. It just caught everybody up. Even the woman that she was talking to, and she's like, stop that now." And and clearly her feelings was hurt, but what are you gonna do? But all I can say is all of my friends know me, and they know I'm true to my word. If I tell them something or whatever the case is, they know it's coming from a sincere and genuine place. I was just talking to one of my best friends today, and we were talking and chopping it up, and and I had to ask him. I said, "Bro, you and I go back a while. We go back a long, long while. So, have I ever came off as someone who was disingenuous? Have I ever came off as somebody who would lie just to get by, or have I ever told you something that you didn't respect to the point to where it made you question our friendship? Like, you and I can talk to each other. I expect you to correct me if I'm wrong. I expect you to check me if I'm coming off the wrong way, or I disrespected you or said something in such a way that offended you. I expect for you to come to me and in that moment tell me, hey, bro, you out of pocket. I said, am I wrong? He said, no, you're not wrong. I said, so I expect all my friends to be the exact same way. I don't have friends and associates to where they have iffy personalities and character traits. I don't do that. I don't surround myself with people like that because that speaks volumes about me. Now, even within family, there are certain people who have questionable character. I don't really relate to them like that. I don't. I don't sit there and be grinning in their face like we pals and buddies. My spirit won't sit well. So it's imperative that the people that I surround myself with in my circles, my small circles and my larger circles, with people who have integrity. Everybody ain't the same, but I expect those particular character traits to be present because they're present in me. You see what I'm saying? I don't get along with people who are shiesty, who are thieves, who cheat on their spouses or their significant other. I don't have best friends. I don't have close friendships like that. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So
And for me, I would expect anybody that is in my circle. You don't
mm-hmm,
have to be my best friend, but even if you're somebody that I trust, that I can say I would invite you to my house and things like that.
mm-hmm,
You know, I would hope that I could have a certain level of trust with them, and I would hope that they had a certain level of trust with me. That if I tell you something, that I'm not doing it to be, a butthead.
right,
You know what I mean? And I've had quite a few situations like that where I'm like, I'm not trying to be a butthead. I'm trying to be your friend. I'm trying to be your cousin, your auntie, whatever. And I just want to be truthful with you because somebody's not being truthful with you. Other people are not being truthful with you. You call Auntie Jessica. There's a thing, and I'll say this: the people that really know me and that deal with me on a consistent basis, they'll say, "Hey, Jess, I need to ask you something." And I'll be like, "Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. Are you asking me because you want an answer or you're just vetting?" That's my first question.
mm-hmm,
Are you just vetting to me? You just need me to hear you out? Or do you want like me to be thinking of solutions? Do you want feedback? And they'll be like, And then I'll say, because I'm going to tell you the truth. Whether you're wrong, whether you're right, I'm not going to coddle you. So if you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. And sometimes I have friends and family members be like, you know what? Never mind. You're right. I'm asking the wrong damn person because I already know what you're going to say to me.
mm-hmm,
I already know what you're going to say. And I'm like,
mm-hmm,
okay, cool. Well, I'm still here whenever you want to talk. But if now is not the time because you already know what I'm going to say, then obviously it's not the time. And then I have some times where people will be like, you know what? No, you're exactly who I want to ask because you're exactly who I need to hear from. Because
mm-hmm.
I know that you're going to be honest with me. And I may not like it. I may not like what you say, but I need that honesty and I need that reality check right now because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm bugging.
Yeah. I mean, and I think and that's the thing I love about my sister and I, our relationship, because we gonna give it to each other straight, no chasing. It is what it is. And I can always depend on that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I love about my sister. My sister and I, we've grown. Like, she used to get on my nerves when we were kids, but I could not imagine life without her at all. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my sister. You know what I'm saying? That's she's been my ace and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And the thing is I respect what she has to say. She respects what I have to say. And the thing is, she knows that we're never going to tell each other something if it's not true. We're never going to mislead each other and stuff like that to think something is something that, and when it's not. You know what I'm saying? We don't coddle each other in the same way we are with our mother. If our mother is wrong, we gonna let mom know, mom, you wrong on that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not how that works. This is how it works. Or if she comes off wrong to each other, to one of us, we're going to rectify the situation respectfully. Like we're not people who are fake. We're gonna just sweep things under the rug and be having stuff festering inside of us. We ain't doing all that because that will affect us long term. You know what I'm saying? And that person is still skipping and doing jump rope and they ain't even worried about our feelings. Why should we sit there and put ourselves in a situation where we're, internalizing everything and this person don't give a crap? You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I believe in the truth. If a person is sitting there and they got the big head, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna have a conversation. I ain't gonna do it in front of people, but we're gonna have a conversation. You remember when we go back a long way. You know what I'm saying? So if we go back a long way, and I know that you always been a certain way, then if let's just say you got a promotion at work and suddenly your attitude changes, the way you looking at people changes, the way you talking to service people changes, the way you talking to the wait staff changes, the way now you're starting to make snide comments to me. Oh yeah, you about to get checked. And you're not about to get checked I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of fairy dust on you. No. I'm coming at you. You gonna get it straight, no chasing. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Now, depending on how you react to that and respond to that, that's when I'll know who the real person is. Because if you have humility and say, you know what, I didn't realize I was coming off like that. You know what, I really apologize. I didn't know I made you feel that way. I didn't know I was doing that, or something to that effect, and showing some kind of accountability. Okay, I can accept that, and we can kind of move. We can actually move forward. Now you can start to exhibit corrective behavioral patterns of yourself. I'm not going to correct you because if that's the way you really are, I'm gonna let you be, and I'm gonna let you be exactly who it is that you really are. But your access to me will now become limited. And that's one thing a lot of people don't do. They keep toxic relationships, they keep toxic people in their lives, and they don't correct their own reactions to it. They allow it to remain in their lives close. They allow it to continue to fester and be there and affect them while that person is not even paying attention to how it's affecting you. That person is still sitting there acting like everything's cool because you never said anything. But it's affecting you daily.
I like what you said when you mentioned it. Afterwards, it depends on how they respond. Mm-hmm. Because if, like you just mentioned, if they say, you know what, I didn't even, maybe it did go to my head. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize it, because sometimes that does happen. Like you get this little, for some people, like, ooh, and I'm this and I'm that, and you like, hey, wait a minute, hold on, like, because 17 minutes ago you were still this person, and now you're this person. I need to put you back where you was. I'm proud of you. Congratulations on your promotion, but yeah, tone that down a notch. And if that person then says, you know what, my bad, you know what, you're right. But then if they come off at, what you talking about? I'm your boss, and you can't talk to me like that. And who? Oh, wait a minute. Who are you talking to? Now we got a problem.
Yep.
Now we got a problem because I tried to give you some direction because I saw the change in you that you need to revert back to where you were. And I'm trying to help you, but now you're giving me an attitude too when I'm only trying to help you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's where the fight started.
Yeah, right.
That's where the fight started. So, and then I think that another thing is that we as people, and I mean people as a whole, just as a whole, human beings, we have to learn how to understand that people see you from the outside looking in. And that sometimes we have to accept, like, I am huge on my bad. I will my bad you to death. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. If you tell me something, I'll be like, oh, you know what? I did do my bad. It ain't gonna happen again. But as I always say, I practice self-reflection, accountability, integrity, consistency, and honesty. Those are my 5 traits. And so I practice those. So when somebody comes to me and says, hey, Jess, you ain't acting right, or you did this, or you did that, I'll actually kind of isolate myself for a minute, and I'll think it through, and I'll be like, you know what? That person was right. Okay, now let me go apologize to that person. Because I might not have liked how they said it. Maybe, maybe I didn't like how they said it. Maybe it offended me in the beginning because I thought I was right. So sometimes, I say that, I guess I'm saying that to say sometimes when somebody brings something to your attention, especially if it's somebody that's close to you, take a few minutes, isolate yourself for a few minutes and actually replay what that person said to you in your mind. And then think about maybe the trends or things that you've been doing recently. Because a lot of times, if that person truly cares about you, they're telling you that because they actually care about you. Most people that don't care about you, they're not going to try to correct you. They're not. They're simply not going to try to correct you. They don't care.
Nope.
So if that person is really trying to correct you, at the very least, take some time, self-reflect, and if in fact what that person said holds some truth to it, have some accountability to that, and maybe redirect whatever it is that you're doing. Because I can say that I'm that type of person. If I talk to you, I care. If I don't talk to you, I don't care. I do not care. So the biggest thing is self-reflection and accountability. And don't always take it as an attack on you. Oh, well, I got this promotion. Now they jealous because I got this. We'll go for your, with your example. They just jealous because I got this promotion. No, she's not jealous. He's not jealous. They see you changing and acting an ass, and they want you to go back to the cool person you was before this promotion. That's all they want you to do. And it doesn't mean that they don't respect you as their boss or whatever. It just means, hey, can you not be an asshole? Please. Thank you.
Basically, yeah.
So again, just I think that's a problem with us, where when we are scrutinized for something, especially in something like that, where we think that we've accomplished something, so we have to become this different person. You don't have to become a different person just because you've accepted a different level of responsibility.
I agree 100%. I think people get beside themselves because they've never had or never made that particular type of money, and now they feel like I don't know what they feel like, but one thing I've always said that because I remember years ago we had I had a conversation within the forum that I was in, and they said, "Would you change if you won the lottery?" And I said, "Absolutely, I would. Absolutely." And they was like, "What? Why would you change?" I said, listen to me. You got to think of perspective, okay? Your next question should have been, what would you change? Don't have a reaction to what I just said. Ask more questions as to why I said what I said. Yes, my library card is still going to be my library card, but guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to have an upgraded credit card. I might have a black card instead of my ordinary card. A lot of things are going to change. I'm going to be able to help my parent, my mom. I'm going to be able to help my sister. All the things that's inside of me that I want to give to the people that I love, I'll be able to realize. I'm going to change. I'm going to be the person that helps better my core people's lives. I'm going to change. I'm going to be able to make the investments I'm able to make. I'm going to change. I'm going to not. I'm going to have the vehicle I want. There's a lot of things around me I'm going to change, but will it change me at my core? Yes, because now I have to be very weary of those people who are not genuine coming into my life. So now my discernment has to change. It has to be more focused. People that's going to try to take from me. So now I have to be more aware. So yes, having more money is going to change me, but it's not going to change my character. It's not going to change who I am at my core. I'm not going to become a worse person because I got more money. Money makes you more of what you already are. And a lot of people don't understand that. Some people see it, but they don't understand the concept. Money makes you more of who you already are at your core. You can only pretend but so much. I don't know if you saw the video of the guy. He said, "What would you do if I won the lottery?" And she was like, "I'd take half and leave you." He was like, "Seriously?" He said, "Okay."
Well, here's $8 or
Yeah,
something
right.
like that.
Yeah, he said, "I won $40. Here's 20. Pack your stuff and get out." And goes to show you that some people are just biding their time in your life to make a move when they find a better option or something like that. And so it's gonna change me. Yeah, so I'm not ever gonna sit there and say no, because you're not ever supposed to stay the same. You either going to get better or you're gonna get worse. You're not gonna stay the same. You're gonna get
But like
older.
you said, it wouldn't change you in your core.
Right.
Sorry,
Right.
my phone is plugged up. That's why I'm kind of moving.
It's
It
all good.
wouldn't change you in your core, and it also wouldn't change you to those who are closest to you.
Mm-hmm.
But for your outsiders, it would, like you said, you have to use discernment. Like, okay, are you really here because you love me, or are you really here because I won the lottery?
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people, just for example, that's why a lot of people don't tell nobody when they won the lottery.
Man, listen.
Man, listen. Ain't tell nobody.
I would prefer to stay anonymous, or I will, like, I'm gonna tell you, Jessica, I'm gonna tell you straight up. If I won one of them mega millions like people be winning, and I got after taxes $500 million, I got the chew on. First of all, I'm accepting it under a trust, a name that ain't mine. If I'm in a state where I have to reveal my name, I'm gonna set up a trust. That trust is going to receive the payment. That's what's going to receive it. I'm not going to receive it. I will be the beneficiary of the trust. I will control the trust, but the trust won't be under my name. So it's going to be a thinking man industries. I don't care. I don't know what it's going to be, but it ain't going to be my name, because you're not about to force me to reveal myself. I'm not doing that. Nope.
But like you said, money reveals who you already were.
Yep.
So if you were a stinking butthead all your life, when you get money, you're gonna be more of a stinking butthead.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is.
Yep.
Some people get money and they just resume their humble lives and they don't tell nobody. Some people will go and they will, do charity and things for other people, or take care of their families and break them off bread. But it doesn't mean that you don't change. You just really, your core values and your characteristics don't change.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to, like you said, you do have to have discernment on people, especially those that you ain't talked to cousin Ray Ray in 7 years, and now all of a sudden he want to be your BFF and come to the barbecues. Yeah. Nah, Ray Ray, I ain't talked to you in 7 years. Why you around? And then they hit you up like, well, I've been having a tough time in life, and and then that happened, and my car broke down, and you're like, yep, I see where this is going. Now, it doesn't mean you can't help your cousin Ray Ray out.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that. It just means that you know where he's coming from. Because you use discernment. You didn't just say, oh, everybody just loves me because now I'm just this millionaire. Yeah, that's why they love you, because you're a millionaire and they want something from you. But
yeah. But but I had this discussion with a friend of mine, and we were just kind of talking about just chopping it up. Because remember when the lottery got over $1 billion or something like that?
I do, because I think Billy went and played a couple.
I did too.
He said, "Babe, it's like such and such and such amount. I'm gonna go up to Exxon and get a ticket." I was like, "You go, baby."
Yeah. So so I had to sit down and dream a little bit. And he asked me, he said, bro, like what, like seriously, like what would you do, bro, with that kind of money? Like what would you do? I said everything. I said, first and foremost, I'm gonna visit all of my blood aunts and uncles and cousins, first cousins and stuff like that. No second cousin, third cousin. We ain't doing all that. But each one of them has something that they need help with. As in everybody, some of my closest friends, and people that I know need it. We're gonna have a private conversation, and what you're gonna sign off on is an NDA. You don't tell nobody else what you personally receive. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna figure out what a good round number for you is, and I'm gonna give it to you.
I'd like to identify as one of your cousins, just right now, in case you ever do hit the lottery. I identify as one of your long lost cousins, your light bright cousins. Okay, continue.
I got you. And, because your kids need college funds and all that. So I got you. Don't worry. So, and my thing is in that NDA, the last thing before you sign off on that particular money is that you will never come back to me for any more. If you squander it, that's on you. Do not look in my direction. You had the opportunity to fix your life, get it back on track, get debt free, do whatever you need to do. But because with $1 million, you can pretty much take care of what you got to take care of with all with your seed peoples and stuff like that. $1 million will take care of a whole lot for a whole lot of people. So for me, that's what I would do. I'm one of those individuals that I don't believe in bleeding the well dry. You're not about to be a succubus on my dime. You're not about to do that. You're not about to do it. If you gave me your butt to kiss, then it's still unkissed now. We not best friends now. We're not going to be. You know what I'm saying? If we good, then we good. But that's how I see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to help the individuals who's helped my life, who's influenced my life, and stuff like that. Those individuals, and a lot of the times, some people are in the bad situations they're in, health wise or whatever, because of money, a lack of money. You know what I'm saying? So, and if I could help fix some of that, I would, and stuff like that. Especially if you win a prize that large. We talking about $1 billion. We not even talking about a million. We talking about $1 billion with a B. That's $1 billion, man. Oh my God! All I got to say, you better do the right thing with that money.
I'm with you on that. There are a select, but I will say it's a very small amount of people. Because everybody. I think almost everybody in the world has had this conversation.
Right.
Like,
right,
what would happen if you became a billionaire or whatever?
Right.
So, Billy's parents would be taken care of, his sister, his niece, nephew, because the entire time of the 16 years, they've never missed anything. I take care of my aunt and my 2 cousins. And of course, my children. Duh. But and there's a couple of friends that I have that I would break off. Like I have my best friend, my Puerto Rican best friend. She's a single mother of 4. She's a magnificent single mother. And I mean, I shit. And I'm married, and I be like, I want to be like you when I grow up. By that, I just mean that she's such a phenomenal mother.
Right.
I'm like, you like your kids that much? I mean, I love my kids, but you actually like them? Oh my God,
Yeah.
So I have a couple of people that I will bless as well. But just like you said, it would be a India would like, look, I'm giving you this meal. Don't come back for no more. So if you go blow it on a brand new car for 500 grand and whatever, that's on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other than that, my life wouldn't change. Like, matter me and Billy was talking about it today, oddly. Like, I wouldn't move from my household. I'd
Right.
still shop at Walmart and Kroger. I
Right.
might add like a extra bedroom on the house and do some extra things, but I wouldn't feel the need to go and move into a mansion just because I'm rich now and buy a brand new car. No, I'm still gonna live my everyday life. I'm still gonna go to Goodwill. I love going to Goodwill. I love shopping at Goodwill because huh? Did you say what? Did you say because
Welcome
I'm
to the
broke?
stage, Maurice.
That is not a good way to come into the show.
Right.
I tried so hard to hold back.
No.
Don't say it.
Okay, so no, when this conversation goes left, I want everybody to understand that he started it from the beginning.
My bad. I want to formally apologize.
No, your apology is not accepted right now. Maybe later.
All right. I'll save the apology for later.
Okay, let me say this real quick. Let me tell y'all why I like the Goodwill. Mm-hmm. I like antique things. Mm-hmm. I like the fine china, the old school stuff. And people, especially young people, when their grandmamas die, what's the first thing they do? They clean out the house and take it to the Goodwill. Uh-huh. I have a painting hanging. I have a painting in my house. I have two paintings. One of the paintings that's hanging in my house, I paid $12 for. When I went to go and look for the artist, the picture's worth $5,000.
That's awesome. Yeah.
The other one is worth like $2,000, and I bought it for like $8. And they're beautiful pictures. Like, they fit my household. They suit me. But like, people don't realize what they throw away, because as soon as the grandma dies, they just gut it all out and send it all to the Goodwill. And so I like not ancient. I like older things. They just have more value to me.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Goodwill. Sometimes I go to the Goodwill and I buy nothing. Like, I never buy clothes. I don't buy clothes, but like, I go for like furniture, dishes, and pictures, stuff like that. And I find some really nice stuff in there that people just toss away because they don't have any value in it. Mm-hmm. So it's not because I'm broke, Maurice.
Oh, so you did hear me.
Yes, I heard you. Hi, Maurice. Welcome to the show, Maurice.
What's up, people? How everybody living?
We're gonna let you talk now. Let me mute.
No, but I get what you're saying. No, but I had just posed I was just talking about the fact that I had a conversation with someone recently, and we were talking about. You remember when the lottery was over $1 billion at one point, right? Okay. And so I was just saying, would you change? What would I said? Yes, I would change. I absolutely would. What you mean? But not in the worst ways, though. You know what I'm saying? I said, money makes you more of who you already are. You know what I'm saying? If you are rotten
amplifier,
yes, that's all it is. So, and my thing is that when I get money, I will know what to do with it because I'm already plotting how to create what I need to create with whatever monies that I get. Now, if you get somehow, you are blessed to win that kind of amount, man, it's gonna change a whole lot for a lot of people. But for me, I was saying like $1 million for my family, it could change a whole lot for people, and it could be $1 million would take care of it all, because most people don't have 6-figure debts. They have, well, I can't say that because I ain't most people. But what I can say is that a lot of people's debts can be taken care of within $1 million. And with my family, like I got a big family, but I was talking about my immediate aunts and uncles and my first cousins and those individuals I'm close to, stuff like that. I would try to bless a little bit. And and whatnot. But in my NDA that I will have with my secret meeting, I was explaining to Jessica at the last part of what that NDA is going to have on it is after you blow this, my door is closed. You don't come back, because some people, when they're given something like that, they blow it. They lose their freaking minds. Okay, you're allowed to lose your mind. Once you lose your mind, you cannot find it back at my doorstep. Okay, you ain't gonna find your mind back over here. So I'm gonna make that very, very clear. Like you that's not gonna happen.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why they say like socialism doesn't work. Because let's say we distributed all the money, so everybody in the world had the same amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
It would all end up back in the same people's hands.
I know, right? Yeah. But that's facts, because we see it every income tax season.
Yeah, I mean, as much as people complain about Jeff Bezos, oh, he's doing this, he's shooting rockets with his girlfriend and a bunch of random ladies in it. He got a yacht for his yacht, and he wasting all this money. But they're the same ones that go click on Amazon, go click, 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 and they order in this stuff. So you got to understand how you contributing to the things you complaining about.
Right. I mean, this is like, I think somebody said one time, because they were talking about Elon Musk, and they were saying, like, if you really dismantle Elon Musk, well, they're not that smart, because just because he's worth X amount of money doesn't mean he has X amount of cash. It just means it's his net worth. But let them tell it. He has $500 billion. Let's just roundabout number. So they're like, well, if you just gave there's 350 million people in the world, you could give everybody $1 million. I mean, in America, you can give everybody $1 million and he'd still be rich. So what's the problem? And I'm like, y'all would blow the $1 million. Y'all wouldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Not the majority of people. Some will. Some will be like, oh, thank you. Okay, let me pay this student loan. Let me pay this. Let me get this down. Let me get my debt
Escalade on dubs.
Yeah, but most people will be like, oh no, we about to go pop bottles and and I need these new sneakers.
All the clubs are gonna be rich. All the auto places are gonna be rich.
You're gonna pay off the strippers more.
Oh, the strippers are gonna make money, bro.
It's kind of like that movie Friday, was it next Friday, where the uncle won the lottery and they moved, and then they had the eviction note, the foreclosure notice on the door.
That's the thing I don't understand. That's the thing I don't understand. You get this big house, but you didn't pay it off. Like what?
You bought it on credit? No, I understand it completely. Because you buy that. Let's say it's a $7 million house, right? And you're not gonna pay the whole $7 million. You're gonna pay the $1 million down payment. Now you got $6 million that you can spend on other stuff. That's all they see. They just collect.
Yeah, but then at the same time, they're not. They probably, or they're likely not working. They haven't invested. So then once you blow through that money, now you got this mortgage payment. You got all this other stuff that you got to pay. And I was like, oh, and the taxes came. I can't pay that. Now I done lost a damn house.
But the taxes stuff sneaks up on you. I'm gonna be honest, because you got this house, and let the market be in your favor. You're like, oh shoot, yeah, equity up on my house. You excited, and then the tax collector man comes and say, you got a nice house. Right. How about you pay for it now? Right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, but in all fairness, they don't really sneak up on you. You know you're going to get a bill for your taxes every year on your house.
I mean, you talk about somebody that's owned the house for a while. You talk about somebody. You're talking about because you're somebody that's owned the house for a while, so you understand that bill coming.
Yeah, that bill's coming.
I'm taking into consideration this guy that just won the lottery, went and bought his big old house.
Oh yeah, he's
and
stupid.
then he's on year 3 when funds are starting to run out because he's been spending recklessly. Now he's got this house tax bill coming for him, and it's gonna slap him in the face. You're not gonna be ready.
Yeah, and that's the craziest part of it is that there's never any financial literacy going on. Like they're supposed to get someone who is an estate planner, someone who is going to make sure they manage their money. Like I'm sorry, but you can live off the interest of $1 million. You know what I'm saying? You can literally live off that interest alone. But what people do is they upgrade their standard of living to the point to where they're still working paycheck to paycheck. Like even with the lottery, you can literally with like I said with winning one of those Mega Millions, right? You can literally take $1 million and get yourself a very, very nice home. You can go to places like Texas and get a baby mansion for $300,000, $400,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're done. You're finished. They don't have the property. They don't. I don't think they have property taxes. Now I might be wrong.
Where?
In Texas?
No,
that's income tax. Right?
So all we do is property taxes out here, bro.
Okay, so that's okay. I'm taking my income taxes. I apologize.
Yeah. There's no state tax.
Right.
Well, and I'll add that our house is a $500,000 house, but we're in Virginia, and we also have we have taxes every year.
Yeah, and ours is even more than that. So my thing is that with $1 million, we just talking about a small plain $1 million. We talking about after taxes now. We just talking about after taxes. You got your little lump sum, and you like, yes, IRS, you're not getting any of this. Okay, fine. You can pay off a nice, suitable home for yourself. You don't have to go over the top with nothing. You know what I'm saying? You can get yourself a nice car. You don't have to go over the top with something, because what people are not understanding is there's a luxury tax that comes with these astronomical cars that people are buying. Like you ain't used to having no Lamborghini, so why would you run your butt out there and get a Lamborghini because you saw it on TV or it's something that you always dreamed about? You don't know what comes with that car. You know what I'm saying? If you mess around and hit a pothole wrong and you got to replace the brakes or the wheel or the tire costs daggone near $1,000.
Listen, so, I used to sell cars. I used to go to auctions.
Yeah.
And there was usually I hung around the lower level auction buying the $250, $300 cars. I wasn't playing around with this other stuff. But every now and then you got the big baller car that rolls through, and every now and then I go taste the rich people's auction. And on the show floor was this Lamborghini, and I looked at it. It was like it said $10,000 sticker on it. I was like, $10,000 Lamborghini, and then someone bumped me. It's like, nah, that's just the front bumper.
But it's true.
That's what it was. It literally the front bumper. They say it's a $10,000 bumper.
Mm-hmm. It is true. It is, and if you even thought about a set of tires, and I'm talking about all four, that's gonna set you back. That's gonna set you back something crazy. I remember there was a manager at the airport, and I know we're all off topic, but I remember there was a manager at the airport, and she had a 7 Series BMW, right? The front headlight cost $2,000. $2,000 for the headlight cluster, one set. And I'm just like, what? 2,000? She said yes. And never mind the backup camera. If something happens to that little camera, you're gonna be paying over $1,000 to get that replaced. I was like, man, listen, Hyundai Genesis it is. Like, we gonna go to Genesis. We ain't you said this. She was like, yes, that this car costs a lot of money. Like you don't get to drive one of these cars and think that it's a Toyota. You're not gonna live that kind of life. Now with this car, You
Well,
that's
look, so
that's the reason why you see a lot of luxury cars with dents still in them and they ain't been fixed.
so real quick, but that's why, like, I used to mess with people at AutoZone when I was a store manager for AutoZone because they'd go and buy these cars and they'd go and spend a whole tax refund on these pay here, what is it, buy here, pay here type of
Yeah,
those
places for
places
these
are demonic.
BMWs and stuff like that. And then they'd come in and they'd be like, "Hey, I need a front headlight, a light bulb. Not even the fixture, Cedric, the light bulb."
Mm.
And I'll look it up and I'll be like, and they'd be like, "What you laughing at?" I said, "Your light bulb's $150." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you didn't check that out before you bought the car? $150." And I think the biggest ones are like Mercedes. It was really big with the Escalades.
European cars. European cars are
Right.
notorious.
And they would like really break down. They couldn't get the damn light bulb. Now my Ford Explorer, my light bulb cost $19.99 for a 2-pack.
Yes,
And I could put it in my damn self.
Yeah,
I know how to do it.
Put that 2 fingers,
Well,
feel around, pop it in. I know, yeah.
Yeah, I
You know
turn
what?
signal. That's crazy.
Can't
I
stand
turn
you,
signal
Maury.
light. I turn signal light was $10 for
Right.
two.
Should I be getting mad if I can't get it for $7?
Man. So
No, but again, it just goes to show that like we put too much in, and that's why. And I'm gonna shift it one more time. That's why, like when they talk about reparations,
yeah,
it kind of kills me because I know the majority, not all, they're not gonna do the right thing if they get reparations.
nope.
And then they're gonna be right back at the government with their hands out again. And again, I'm not saying all, because some of us got sense. We're gonna pay off our debt. We might buy land. We might purchase a home. We would actually invest that money to create, at the very least, a debt-free future generation or even generational wealth. But a lot of people, they're not going to do that. They're going to take that money because we are so accustomed to not having that. When we get it, we gotta floss. We gotta show out. We gotta buy the Nike, the Jordans. We gotta pop the bottles, and we gotta get the new, I don't know, Birkin bags. I don't even carry a purse. I carry my bank card and my ID. That's all I the hell need. So we waste. And then, like you said, and it goes back to what you said, Dedrick, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you this money now, but when you're done, don't come back to me, because you could have handled business.
Come on, everybody has that family member that you tried saying that same thing to you, same thing to them, right? Like, here's this $500, this is $700. If it don't work out, don't come back to me. What they gonna do? Coming right back to you.
No,
not me.
I'm a little.
They're coming. They're coming.
They can come back.
That's what I'm saying. They're coming.
But they can come back. But that doesn't mean they're gonna get it.
Listen, my point is they're coming. They'll come back. They'll try you again. It's up to you whether or not you send them away. Same thing. Like if the government hands out this money, they're gonna come back. You think they're gonna go away? They're not going away. If you give a panhandler money, he gonna stand on that corner again.
No,
that's a good corner.
I have a very good reputation in my family. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. Well, I don't care what the consensus is. I don't care nothing about that. When they come to me personally, I mean what I say. And if they even look my way, you done signed off. We done agreed that this is what it's gonna be. So you need to figure it out. You had a chance to figure it out the first time. I gave you an opportunity to figure it out the first time. You had every opportunity to figure it out the first time. You're not coming back here with your hands out.
My point is, in order for you to give that speech, they had to have come back. That's my like
I
my
think
whole
he's
point.
just. I think he's just saying that they will come back because you
Yeah,
gave them the gratitude
they
the
will
first
come
time.
back.
No, I'm telling you
So
about
they
the first
will come
conversation.
back and try
No,
you,
I'm telling you
not
about the
necessarily
first.
you, just
Oh,
overall.
oh yeah, no, he's right. He's right about that. He's
Yeah,
absolutely right.
they'll come back.
But what I'm saying is, in my case, like I was
Mhm.
talking about the NBA and what I would say in this secret conversation I would have. Listen, it ain't nobody else's business what I gave you. Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I tell you this. I'm gonna preface this. Don't come back with your mouth hanging low and all that. You got your opportunity to handle what you got to handle right now, today. So go handle what you got to handle. But when you run out, if you blow it, if you screw it up, that is on you. I don't come back to my door. Stop telling me, hey man, man, times is hard. No, I made it really easy for you. That's the first conversation I'm having with them. It's not gonna be one of those things when they come back. No, ain't gonna be no win. I'm telling you, don't come back to my doorstep with a handout. Don't do that.
I'd like
Now,
to add to the just real quick before I forget my train of thought. Real quick, if for anybody that does happen to run across this video, if you are ever blessed to have somebody that helps you out in that magnitude, my suggestion would be is to pay off your debts. That's the first thing that you should do. The hell with a new car, the hell with some new shoes, whatever. Pay off your debts. If you have debts, because you have to remember you have a debt to ratio.
absolutely,
So if
absolutely.
you're a working person, if you are paying off, let's say, you got five credit, I'm just going to use a vague example. You got five credit cards. They're all $500 or $1,000, let's say $1,000 a piece. Pay those off. That's $5,000. Now let's say you had to pay $50 for each credit card a month. That frees up $250 of your money that you're bringing in. So my biggest suggestion is always pay off your debts first. And then if you have some money left over, and I would hope that you're not that much in debt and you would have money left over, then if you want to do something a little nice for yourself, for your family, do so, maybe invest. So then that way you can have a residual income. Invest in stocks and invest in real estate, invest in something. It doesn't even have to be anything huge, but just invest if you ever come across that blessing. Especially like, when we have people that pass away and you have these life insurances and they blow through those life insurances instead of paying off their debt, instead of doing those things that can help them down the line. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I don't think a lot of people think about that. Because the less debt that you have, the less money that you're paying out from your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're bringing in $1,500, let's just keep it on a low ball. If you're bringing in $1,500 a week, that knocks $500 of extra money that you were paying out. Every little bit helps. So that was my only addition to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add this thing to what Jessica just said, and I'm so glad she brought that up. Like, don't raise your standard of living. Like let's just get back to the smallest thing. Like, if you get a promotion at your job, like I remember getting a promotion. It was a $15,000 promotion at my former job, and I had
15,000.
never gotten a raise. 15,000. I was
Damn.
I was promoted from regular warehouse worker to operations manager. So that was a $15,000 boost over what I was making per year.
That's
So
huge.
yes, that was a huge raise. So I didn't raise any standard of living that I did. I just paid off a lot of the stuff that I was trying to drag on or got tired of dragging on. I just paid off those little credit cards, the stuff that I owed and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I didn't change no lifestyle stuff. Because now I had an extra amount of money per year that I was making, and it made a difference. Like, I wasn't ever behind on my bills anymore. You know what I'm saying? There was a little small things that made a difference in how comfortable I was. Like, so, and again, I know that's your money. You do what you want to do with your money. We're just making small suggestions. Because none of us are rich that I know of. My whole point is My whole point is that financial literacy is everything. If you don't, like Jessica mentioned investing, the word invest makes people go crazy. Oh my God, I don't know how to do that. It's not that difficult to understand. It's not that hard. Investing means pouring money into a thing that's going to grow and help your money grow. That's all that is. That's what investing means. It's your money having babies. You putting your money someplace where it multiplies. That's all. That's all investing is. And I don't care if you put it somewhere and just set it and forget it and let it go. That's still investing. I don't care if you bought a crypto. I don't care if you bought stocks, CDs, whatever it is. Put it somewhere where your money is working while you sleep. And if that's the case, and don't worry about it, set it and just let it do what it does. That's what it's there to do.
Yeah, if somebody wants to understand investments, a great book for that is The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
It's a very, very simplistic understanding of what it is to invest. It doesn't
what is
tell
the book
you
called again?
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a book on telling you how to invest. It's a book on telling you what it means to invest. So it kind of gets your methodologies and your mind right and your perspectives on how to invest on things. Or not how to invest, but how to what is investment versus spending. It's a thing I teach my kids. Like, you can do 3 things with your money. You could spend it, you could save it, or you could invest it. And the biggest issue they had was trying to figure out what's the difference between saving it and investing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Powernomics is a book that the boys are currently reading.
Okay.
I got that one.
The Richest Man in Babylon is a very easy read.
Okay.
And it's put in like narrative and story format. So it's not textbooky. So it's not like preaching to you, or you're not taking a course in it. It just gives you some precepts, very parable story form. Really good.
Okay. But I mean, because it's funny, because me and a friend were having this conversation earlier where we were talking about, the differences between colleges and trades and entrepreneurship. And, I realized, and my friend, because he came by because he was looking at Billy's truck because it's making the damn noise. And, of course. And so we were just talking about our kids and how we want to pursue, try to encourage them more towards entrepreneurship. And, as we were talking, it really hit me that a lot of our parents really didn't teach us entrepreneurship and how to become business people, because they didn't know. They were taught to work in the factories and,
Well, to their benefit, or to their credit, it wasn't really necessary. The factory worker was making as much money as the lawyer or the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't necessary. Why go and take the risk and build a business when you could just make the same money without the risk?
Yeah, well, the reason why that conversation came up is because we were talking about how Trump is planning to take a lot of the money that he's taken from the federal money from the colleges, from the universities, and putting them into the back into the trade schools.
Amen.
And we wholeheartedly agreed on that, and that's kind of how we got on the topic of trade schools, college, and entrepreneurship.
Oh, before we move topics, there was something I wanted to say on interest. What rich people do, I'm not quite there yet, but it's something I've been paying attention to. Rich people, how they do investments is they're rich people, like like Elon Musk. He doesn't have any liquid cash. All of his stuff is in assets. So after a certain point, what ends up happening is it's the same thing the government does too. They borrow money but they also have investments, and whatever they make off their investments offsets whatever they have to spend to maintain their credit debt. And they, as long as they maintain that balance, they never have an incentive to actually pay off their debt.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't understand what he's saying, like, I hope y'all understand, because what he said was very, very clear. Like, he had, like, they invest in income producing assets. Those income producing assets cover their lifestyle costs. If they borrow against whatever their assets are, their assets and the interest that comes off of those assets more than covers whatever it is that they spend on a monthly, daily, weekly basis.
Yeah, they never actually pay off their debts. They just pay off the minimums.
Right.
And whatever they're paying in interest for carrying that debt is going to be completely offset by whatever money they're making in their investments.
Mm-hmm. And
that's like I heard I watched something. Please don't quote me verbatim. But they were talking about how the Rockefellers had gotten so wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember, like I said, don't quote me verbatim, but it had a lot to do with insurance, where they would have insurance on certain things and certain people, but they would draw out, because you can draw out from your insurance, whether life insurance, whatever, and then they would reinvest that into certain things without being penalized, because there was a certain amount that they could withdraw from the insurance without being penalized. So they literally found the loophole and used it to become the excuse me. No, I can say it on this one. The fucking richest family on the planet. And they did it in a way that was very strategic, but in a sense, it was kind of so simple. And if more people knew that, then they could too take advantage of those types of opportunities. I'm not saying you're going to be a Rockefeller and be that rich, but there are a lot of loopholes that we have to look into that can make it, like for example, even down to your house. When you have a house, depending on the equity, what you can pull from that and what you can do with there's a lot of loopholes. I'm not well versed in it yet. I'm working on it. Maybe we'll have a conversation another day on that, because I'm trying to find those loopholes, because they got rich off of it. Why can't we?
Well,
we can't, because we don't know it.
Well, Jessica, that's something I had to explain in one of the groups before about IULs, and you're absolutely right when it comes to the Rockefellers, the some of the other richest families in the world. They did it through they partially did it through the insurance, because how IULs work is they work from the cash value, and then they recycle it and put it under a trust. That trust then allocates the funds as so seen fit. So if someone passes away, that death benefit is recycled back into an IUL and redistributed as per the will or the living trust, and stuff like that, to allocate it to different one, a certain particular amount. And then, but then the rest of it is put right back in that IUL. The IUL then gains a certain amount of interest, way more than banks could ever pay you, way more than CDs and stuff like that. The IULs kick out a bigger payout than interest payout than anything else or whatever. They then withdraw a certain amount of money invested in an income producing asset. Once that asset starts to kick out money, they put it right back into the IUL. So they don't, first of all, for instance, if they do real estate, if they go and purchase real estate, that real estate is going to appreciate per se. So what's going to happen is they're going to purchase that real estate with what money that they took out of the IUL. They're going to do that. They'll sell that real estate for exponentially way more than they paid for it. The profits they get from that, instead of spending it on flashy stuff, they'll put it right back into the IUL cash value account. And what happens is they know they don't accrue any capital gains tax. So that's the first loophole. You don't get taxed on insurance money. You don't get taxed on it, especially while you have it in there. You have a specific time to put it back into your cash value without doing
the best
capital gains tax.
Yeah, the best way to avoid the concept of avoiding capital gains tax is literally if you're going to make money off of an investment, is put it back in another investment, or if you're going to put it in an asset, is put it back in another asset, and then you can just avoid that altogether.
Yeah, and in this case, it's the insurance policy.
Yeah,
they literally got, if I understand this right, they literally got rich off of insurance, but not insurance like somebody died and somebody got rich, but like they just kept reinvesting. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first business venture they had was concrete and paving roads. Because this is in the 1920s. Rockefeller's been around a long time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was their first venture that they started investing into, was concrete and paving roads. Do you understand how huge that is?
The brand new cars had to drive somewhere.
Right. So, but I mean, that is a huge thing. But again, it's just like we just gotta find these loopholes because they do exist.
And they do exist. They
do exist for us too. We just gotta find them, and we actually have to use them.
I'm already leveraging AI to create an app to be able to sell to a company, and I haven't programmed in years. But AI, I never finished the schooling for all the programming that I was learning. But with AI, man, I can. Like, this project probably should have taken 2.5 years, and I've been at it for maybe 2 weeks, and I'm almost done.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's how you. I mean, that's how you do that, bro. Like, we got to leverage what's available. Like, a lot of people want to villainize and turn it into evil. Oh, this AI thing. Well, why fight against what's not going away? It's not going away.
It can't go away.
Yeah. Invest in the tech companies that create the AIs. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you remember when they started doing the cannabis, when they started to do the cannabis and legalize the cannabis. And oh my God, I can't believe it. Shut up and invest in the companies that support cannabis growth. So, because it's not going anywhere. So invest in the suppliers that supplies the little things that water the cannabis. Invest in the things, the little light bulbs that, you know, help you grow the cannabis. Like, you have to think bigger than yourself. You got your you know what I'm saying, your opinions about it don't matter. Do you want your bank account to grow, or do you just want to have an opinion and villainize it? A lot of people will do that.
Well, not just that. I watched I know everybody's not a fan of Elon. I like Elon.
Oh.
But I watched a interview when he was being asked questions about AI, and pretty much saying, like, you know, AI could potentially be dangerous and things like that. And Elon admitted, like, he was like, yeah, it could be dangerous. He said, but do we want to be on the side that doesn't have any, or do we want to create AI? So in other words, what he was saying is like that other countries are already ahead of us in AI. So do we want to wait for them to come and take over us with AI, or do we want to have our own AI?
It's really simple. I'm telling you.
It's not like that. You're saying it's not going anywhere. So you're just going to have to kind of, I guess, conform to it.
No, I got simple.
That's a good word.
I got a simple analogy. If you're at all concerned about AI, it's really this simple. You over here, and you got somebody over there that don't like you, and they're over there learning how to make a gun. You could decide, oh, guns are dangerous.
Right.
I don't want to make one. I don't want to deal with that. And especially if that's what the bad people are doing, I definitely don't want to do that. You want to stand on this moral high ground.
Mhm.
Or you could be like, you know what? I need to figure out what this gun thing is and figure out the whole landscape of what it is to have a gun and what it means for someone to have a gun. And so that way, if I choose to, maybe I don't want to build or create a gun, but I'm going to find black jackets, helmets, riot gear, because now I know what a gun can do, right? And AI is a very powerful bazooka. And if you're going to find a way to defend yourself from it, you're not going to be able to do it outside of AI.
And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. I mean, and with the the 3D printers, I invested in a company that is a 3D printer company. People need to understand there's a lot of things that we operate in our households that can be created by a 3D printer for nothing. Like literally, you can create.
They're trying to make food, man.
But that's crazy. But all I'm saying is that we have to evolve mentally because the technology that I went to school for computer graphics. Do you not understand the things that I got my degree in doesn't exist anymore in that particular form? You know why? Because technology is always going. It's always moving. I can't sit there and be like, okay, I have a degree in computer graphics and I use Quark Express.
They're gonna be like, what?
Yeah, I mean
that's what? You might as well have been playing Atari.
Yeah, that stuff all messed up during the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
What people don't understand, what happened in the Industrial Revolution is a very fundamental aspect of human nature changed. It was always the younger learn from the older. Right. But now we're in this age where younger people are actually getting access to more information than the older about certain things. And it's actually equalizing that aspect of where information comes from. Before it was always, my dad was a farmer, his dad before him was a farmer, the dad before that was a farmer, and they passed on the knowledge and it kind of rolled down the generations. And a lot of times you end up like, I don't know why I do this. My great granddad is what they did. That's what I do too. And that's how I'm going to continue doing it because that's what they did. And they don't really have any reasons for that. We live more in an age of critical thinking. You can't just, I have full respect for past information because there's plenty of wisdom, knowledge, and stuff that we have a tendency to want to throw away because we're looking for something more expedient. But I think there's certain areas where that can apply and there's certain areas where it doesn't apply. And so there needs to be room for update. Me being the late millennial, we lived in the world of 2.0s, right? That whole concept of 2.0, the world of update. Everything is an update. Update this, update that. That needs this update, that needs that update. And we understand that, but updates are always based off of a core foundation. You need a core idea, like AI, as complicated as this is based on machine language, zeros and ones. You start getting rid of the zeros and ones, you won't have AI.
Yeah. I mean, and that's
it's not going nowhere though. So that was my biggest takeaway from what Elon said. Because I used to look at Elon like he got the Neuralink and SpaceX and making robots, and I'm like,
mad scientist,
and I'm like, is he about to take over the world? Like, what is he doing? And then, like I said, when I watched the interview, he's like, look, we have adversaries who are far more advanced than us in this technology, so we can either let them do it and then fall victim to their technology, or we can duplicate and hopefully even better their technology so that we're on top of it. Because AI is not going anywhere. This new technology is not going anywhere.
And that's the thing. This country, used to be a country of innovation. It used to be a country that was built on our genius or the genius of several black people. But anyway, I ain't gonna get into all that. But this country used to be a country that was proud of what it made. And then
We still are. We still are.
how? Well, to an extent, because you have to understand, we're trying to reclaim what we gave away. A lot of the things that we gave away, we sent jobs overseas. We try to do everything so that we could pay the least while they pocketed the most. And they didn't end up helping out a lot of the cities that were domestic. But you want to send all this money overseas. How about you fix all the domestic problems first? First and foremost, fix this antiquated power grid. You know what I'm saying? Like the other places got maglev trains. Why do we still have Amtrak? These people got maglev trains in Europe and in China and different places like that. You can get from New York to freaking LA in less than an hour or two. But you're concentrating on the wrong thing. You're concentrating on keeping us unhealthy so that big pharma can benefit. You're concentrating on making your consumers, your citizens, sick so that you have a constant stream of customers. That is not conducive to a productive nation. You know what I'm saying? And for me, when I looked at the Venus Project, and y'all can look at it on your own time, but if you look at the Venus Project was brilliant because all of the farmland was built vertically, and then they were watered through purified water that was recycled throughout the whole system. Every plant and every type of plant was on timer as per what they required to grow. You had not only did you have insect-free, pollutant-free growth of plants and all that stuff like that. You had it looked like cities of elevated vertical farm that you didn't have to go out there and have and you got tractors and all this other stuff. You had an integrated system that gave us clean produce, gave us clean water. The produce had clean water. Everything was timed. Even the transportation system was on a rail system that was emissions free. Like there was so much in the Venus Project that the powers that be says, well, no, because that's going to take money out of our pocket. Like we had the opportunity to be more advanced than Japan and China,
and we just shitted it.
You see what I'm saying? And with the electric cars, we had electric cars a long time ago.
Very long time ago.
I ain't no fan of electric cars, honestly.
But we're saying the electric vehicles.
Not electric.
There was electric vehicles running in the 1800s,
and there were vehicles that could run off of water.
Yes.
And they killed everybody who had
whoever did that.
Like, how is that conducive to any kind of growth when you can't even come up with something that's going to benefit the citizens of your nation?
Capitalism.
Y'all need to understand, there's a lot of they going on in this conversation. You know, they did this, they did that. You have to understand it's not complicated, but it's complex. There's a lot of acting agents trying to get their own stuff. Like when you mention these inventions of cars running on water or whatever going on, I'm a little skeptical about the car running on water, but nonetheless, that's good. I digress.
No, there were two guys. I didn't want to get into guys. There were two guys. No. There were two guys. There was a white guy. I want to say in the 1970s. Nope, you're not going to get it. I want to say in the 1970s, there was a white guy that had invented a car that could run on the water. He was invited to dinner and he died eating dinner. He was poisoned. I'm going to give you the second one.
My
second one, which people think that I'm just doing my conspiracy theory thing, but I know it's true. Nobody can prove me any different. When that white guy went into Buffalo, New York, and he shot up that Tops, the security guard, that the off-duty security guard that used to be a police officer, he also, him and his sons had replicated the same formula for a car to be fuck the word I'm looking for. To be ran on water.
Yeah.
He got shot. That white boy was placed in that Tops. He did not just drive 3 hours from a white neighborhood to go to Buffalo, New York to shoot up some black folks. He was placed there so he could shoot that man because that man was going viral with his hydrogen car again.
My point.
Those things happen.
My point.
What do you mean your point?
I was talking and I had a point, but
no, because you weren't going to dismiss. No, because I wasn't going to let you dismiss that.
But I
go ahead and finish what you
because you said you didn't believe it, so I wasn't going to let you dismiss it. Okay, now you can go.
I mean, I still don't, but anyway.
You don't have to, but I wasn't going to let you dismiss it because two people lost their lives because they came up with, that's just like if somebody came up with a cure to cancer tomorrow, they'd be dead. Now you can continue. I'm gonna shut up. I'm even going mute. Watch this.
Oh, look at that. That's so nice. A nice sound. But my point is, it's not uncommon. It's not outside of capitalism for people to want to stomp the competition. I remember I got in trouble with both of y'all whenever we was talking about the whole Walmart T-shirt situation.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not outside the same logic, same system of I got this invention, but if you actually make your invention, it's going to put my invention out of business. I'm going to make you disappear by any means necessary. And if whatever I need to do to make you sabotage your project, make sure it doesn't get funding, there's all different types of ways to make sure that you're not successful in whatever you're doing that's competing against what I'm doing. Right? There's several different methods of doing that. So, and I mean, right up to obviously what Miss Fields is talking about, taking them out straight up. And there was a conspiracy of sorts where people stage themselves, like, because when people make new stuff, they go to conventions to like a Shark Tank type thing, right? They try to get venture capitalists to believe in them and invest in them, and they pose themselves as venture capitalists. They buy up your patent or whatever, or they, you might be young and not know the true potential of what you're building, but they see it as a potential threat. You might be the third one they've already had to take out. And they come by and they buy up your patent, and then you mysteriously die, and they bury your patent. They bury your invention. They own it, so they don't have to use it. And so therefore, that's what kind of stifles a lot of innovation.
Well, I mean, they did the same thing with Nikola Tesla.
I don't know.
All of his work is gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
And he, in theory, if you do believe, which I do, after reading about him a lot and researching, like, he really had the components of free energy. So they offed him, and then they took his inventions, his ideas, and they pretty much buried them because that didn't make nobody any money.
I mean, when you start talking about stuff like that, you start going into like Terrence Howard world.
That's not Terrence Howard world. It's a fact. It's true.
Hold on.
It happened.
Time
There's enough evidence. Hold on, real quick. Wait, Dedrick.
And real quick with me.
Wait, Dedrick. No, there's enough evidence to prove that Nikola Tesla actually had the formulas for free energy. But because it did not fall in line with the gasoline industries, the electricians, the electric companies industries, he had to go. And then, like you just said, you said this part, so I'm not making this part up. So you gotta go, and now everything that you ever invented or found, we're gonna bury that because we don't want nobody else to know that, because then somebody else is gonna replicate that. And then now I'm losing money because I'm not selling crude oil, I'm not selling gas, I'm not selling electricity. At one point in time, the earth, we didn't need all the bullshit that we needed now. And back in the days, there were in Germany, I'll never forget, in Germany, real quick, and I'll land my plane. When I was a kid, mind you, I'm 48 tomorrow. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday.
And we had streetcars. The streetcars, you know what they were connected to? They were connected to electricity cables. They're literally connected to cables. So it's not far-fetched to say that there was not electricity. And when you look back in the days, you'll see, you know, sometimes they'll dig up roads and stuff, and they'll see railroads, and then they'll find electricity cables because they were literally ran on electricity back then. These are things that you can look up. So for anybody that listens, I'm not just some crackpot. I am a conspiracy theorist. I will admit that, but I do research everything that I talk about, and I shut the hell up if I don't know what I'm talking about. But see, it's very plausible.
Let me get in here.
Hold on, it's very plausible.
No. You said real quick over. So the issue is that Nikola Tesla was dealing with some higher level mathematics and electrical engineering type stuff. I'm not an electrical engineer, and I know you're not an electrical engineer. So all you will have is other people reporting on whether it's valid or not, and you'll have people debating on it. And yeah, you could pick and choose which side you're going to believe based off of circumstantial evidence that you can perceive. But when you say you talk about stuff you know, you don't know. I know you don't know. You have no idea whether what Nikola Tesla did is valid or not. We have no evidence.
No, I wasn't there, but
no, it's not about being there. Even if they hold on, let me finish this. Even if they gave you all the evidence of all the work of Nikola Tesla, you that thing would be like pig Latin to you. You wouldn't know up from down of what's going on, whether or not it's
you don't know that because you don't know time out. Because you don't know what I know. You don't know what is told to me. You don't know what I read. You don't know what I can comprehend. Just because I might not be a mathematician doesn't mean that I can't apply logic when I see certain things and how certain things work and how certain things happen. So please don't dismiss just because I'm not a math. Hold on. Yeah, I let you finish. Just because I'm not a mathematician, I understand that if I were to look at his writings, which you can't because they buried that shit, it's probably in the Vatican because they don't want you to know about that mess because that's how they keep control over you. So, but just because I'm not saying that if I got one of his books, I could be like, oh yeah, 3 times 6 times 9, and this rotates and this, and then I'd be like, oh, I understand exactly how that worked. No, but I can say to myself, well, I can understand how that could be plausible. There's a big difference.
Again, my point, what I'm saying is, like, let's say there's a Nikola Tesla book out there that gives all of his works and all of his theories and everything that he's ever done. If I was to hand that to you, you wouldn't know up from down of whether it was plausible.
Hold
on. You don't know whether or not it would be valid, plausible. What you would have to do, and this is no disrespect to you, because I'd be in the same exact boat. What you would have to do was to appeal to some type of authority that could understand that. and ask them whether or not any of this is plausible, factual, is it based in any form of reality? And then they would report to you whether yes or no. And then you get to choose whether or not you believe them or not.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you because you obviously don't know me that well, and that's okay. Because, like, for example, I
don't
have
know you, Jessica. I don't know you.
no, not in that. No, not in that aspect. Because this is a whole different conversation that I can get into. Because you don't know me in that aspect. Because I do a lot of reading. That's no different than, like, I have a book with the Sumerian tablets that is written in Sumerian. Like, I had to go through each and every line, and I had to decipher, and I had to look up and find out what everything meant, because that was the only book that I could get at that point in time. I didn't want the translated version. I wanted the actual version of it. So what I did is I would look into and I would research. So again, your claim to say that, like, if you handed me a book, I wouldn't understand it. Now, would I maybe open page 1 and be like, oh yeah, I got this? No, but that doesn't mean that I won't go in and try to figure it out and find it out. So I'm just gonna leave that there, because, like, I feel like you insulted me just a little tad bit.
I literally told you I'm standing right next to you. I told you were somewhere. And I said I'm standing next to you. I'm not saying. So if you feel insulted, I'm insulting myself.
Because you act like if I handed you a book, you wouldn't understand nothing that he was saying. You're right. I would have to look it up. Yes, I would have to look it up, but that doesn't mean that I don't have. But that doesn't mean that I don't have the resources to look it up. Back in the days, I used to dismiss ignorance and stupidity as a lack of resources, right? But nowadays we got Google, we got the internet, we got all types of things, we got books everywhere. So that's no longer an excuse. And when I tell you that I read and I research and I think, and I'm an overthinker, so as an overthinker, I really over research. I want the answer. So for you to say that, oh, well, you wouldn't understand it anyways, yeah, that's kind of insulting. I still love you. I love you to pieces. But I'm just saying, that's kind of insulting.
Even in the whole Sumerian thing that you was talking about, do you know anybody that speaks Sumerian? Like, you don't know it. I know you don't know anybody.
No, I don't.
It's a dead language. So
it's a dead language, and I had to, but I still took my ass and I researched it thoroughly.
Okay. But who you researching
the same way that I did with Nikolai Tesla and everything else that I researched.
I'm asking a very specific question. Who would you have to research it from? You'd have to research it from an authority figure that would have had to have some type of highly educated guess at best on what they mean based off of the local dialects, based on the local dialects, and they tried to do their best. And they had to get together with other people that studied those same local dialects to figure out whether or not these things saying or the things that they think they're saying. And
at the end of the day,
you would have to talk to that person that did all that educated work and guessing.
You're being so freaking difficult today.
Today.
Yes, today.
You think that about me every day.
But here's the thing.
Look, I was trying to be nice with saying today.
Here's the thing. Even with those languages and that Sumerian thing, you have people who are generationally passing down this information. It's not like it skips tons and tons of generations. You got people who are still passing down this information, who are deciphering, decoding all these information. So there is a source to go to get what you need. So if you're looking at this symbol, there's a source that has a symbol that corresponds or explanation that corresponds to that symbol, as per the Sumerians who originally created the symbol. You got people generationally who are still researching and stuff like that decodes this stuff. So it's not like you skipping generations and generations and there are some dead languages, sure, but those languages still, there's a way to decode that stuff. In most cases, there are some. There was a manuscript or something like that nobody to this day has ever been able to decode, because nobody's ever seen it before. But my whole point is that there are always ways to decipher certain language things because the linguistics have been translated throughout history. So there's a way to get to the sources. There's a way to get to the resources that contain the sources. So all the Freedom of Information Act exposes all that stuff. We have access to a lot of that stuff. So it's not far-fetched to feel like to decipher some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just like what she was saying about being a conspiracy theorist. Some things ain't really theory. Some things are just so out there that the truth is stranger than fiction. And so people choose not to believe it. They choose plausible deniability. They don't want to. They. I don't think. I might not be using the right phrase. What I'm saying is they'll use the fact that it's so far-fetched that it's not within the realm of their thinking that say the government will do something like this to their people, or this person figured out this. Like with the water thing that you said, bruh, that's history, recorded history that these things have worked. Like there's an African right now that's done it. There's an African young man right now that's done it, and everybody in his thread is like, please protect this man. Please protect this man, because we all know what happens to people who discover cures.
Actually, he was he did plastic and turned it into diesel gas. I know who you're talking about. Because I said the same thing. I said the same thing in this comments. I was like, oh my God, please go into like witness protection or something.
Yeah.
Please.
But either way, it's the same thing with the water thing. That was a thing. Same thing with electric and solar power vehicles. That was a thing. Electric vehicle, people acting like electric vehicles is new. This ain't new. This is ancient history. But the way this particular government in this country works, they don't like to entertain anything that's going to take money out of their pockets. It's just a money grab. The citizens are numbers. You understand? So it's not going to be one of those things where, oh, I'm attached to this person with my feelings. They don't care. They don't care. As long as you produce a certain amount and they benefit from it with this illegal taxation system, that's all they care about. As long as you contribute to their big pharma, that's all they care about. You got doctors pushing medicine when they can be pushing natural remedies. Because they know natural remedies is going to solve the problem. It's going to cure the problem. So why would they cure the problem and then now they don't make enough money?
No, I got two things to say, because you spanned the breadth of a lot of things that I want to address. Like a lot of the things you were saying, I agree with you, because a lot of things you're speaking about is motivations and how the motivations of people leads to certain things, and I'm fully on board with that. But the beginning of what you were saying was that playing telephone is a great way to pass information. And I know you didn't say that. I decided to use an exegesis about what you just said. Basically was they pass down the information from generation to generation. There's people that are looking at it and paying attention. Like every single time someone takes a piece of something and interprets it, there's bias that enters into it, right? And then someone else takes it and tries to interpret what was been interpreted. These are copies of copies of copies of copies. Even language in itself, when it goes from generation to generation, these are copies of copies of copies of copies. And it don't look at all like the original anymore after a certain time. Okay, so going back to my analogy, telephone is not a great way to pass down information. It may be the best way that we have, and so we got to work with it, but it's not the best way that we know of pass down information. Say again? The best way is direct evidence, right?
How are you going to get that?
I think that's the best way. I didn't say it's. All right. There's the best way that you can actually get the information is actually testing it on it's the scientific method, basically, right? If you can test it on multiple occasions to get the same exact results, that's how you know if something is legit, real. The evidence proves it out. But if that is not an option, right? In certain situations like dead languages, manuscripts, these are not options. You can't test them directly with the thing. So you find the next best thing, which might just be telephone. But you have to understand, though, what you're getting is flawed, fundamentally.
There isn't anything in our recorded history that isn't flawed.
I didn't say it wasn't.
No, I'm just making.
I'm not saying it wasn't. But my point is that we have to take it under the assumption and understanding that it is flawed. And
but I don't think anybody
don't try to add as if it's not flawed.
But I don't think anybody said that it's not flawed. So the way that I would put it is kind of like you said, okay, you have, let's say you have this story, and my grandfather told my mother this story, and then my mother told me this story. Somewhere along the lines, there's going to be a couple of missing things, but I think at the end of the day, the major part of that story is going to be true. They might have added something here or forgot something there, but at the end of the day, again, the story in a whole is going to be, I would say, 80% true. Now, when we go back in ancient times, we have to discern what is truth and what is not truth. But a lot of things have been, like Dedrick said, passed down through generations and generations. It's not like we skipped like 5 generations and then there's this new generation just making up stuff. No. But you also have to look, when you research, you have to look and find discernment. You have to really, like me, I can read 20 articles, right? For an example. And I pick the one that makes the most logical sense. I don't just go with the first article and say, oh, yep, that's the answer right there. I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. All right, let me check the next one. And then whichever ones make the most sense and whoever has the most consensus. So let's say out of the 20 articles, 15 of them are saying the same thing. I'm going to say, okay, well, that makes sense. I can actually believe that. Because 15 articles they're all saying the same thing. 15 translations, articles, hypotheses are saying the same things. Yeah, we can't say exactly what they meant because of how they wrote or their language and the barriers, but it doesn't mean that we can't be damn near close. That's my point.
I hear what you're saying. My issue is that I think you're implying a little bit way too much more confidence than what is necessary in order to point out what you're I think you're putting just too much confidence in. Let me hold on.
Real quick. No, for real, real quick. Is the grass green?
Is the grass green? Is what you're asking?
Yeah, is the grass green?
If I answer this question, I got a series of questions I got to ask you.
Is the grass green?
I'll answer the question, but after I answer the question, I got a series of questions to ask you afterwards.
Okay, what's a series though? Like, because we know you. What's a series?
Okay, let's get to it.
I gotta get her to sign the contract on camera. All right.
No, you got three questions. You got 3.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Ask.
All right. So is the grass green?
Yes, it is.
Why?
Based off of the way the sun refracts off of the chemicals that make up the grass.
Can the grass be blue?
Are you asking about plausibility or possibility?
I don't know. I'm just asking you a question. Can the grass be blue?
Well, okay. If I answer for plausibility, yes. No, excuse me. Plausibility, no. Possibility, yes.
And you know this how? Because somebody told you that it was green and that the sky was blue, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now go ahead and answer your question. You can ask your questions now.
Yeah, my
Because I
question
already made my
is
point.
no, I'm not saying your point was wrong. My question to you is, where do you get your information from? When you say you research, and I don't want to like a in-depth answer, just in general, when you need to go research something, where do you get it from?
It depends on what it is. It could be a government site.
Let's make it a little bit more
articles.
specific. That was a little bit broad. Let me make it a little specific. If you wanted to research the hibiscus flower, how would you go about finding out the information about the hibiscus flower?
Then I would go to someone who is knowledgeable about gardening, flowers, and things of such nature.
All right. My point in that question is that in itself is secondary information. This is not your observable.
Is it still?
Hold on.
Is it still a hibiscus?
Hold on. This is not your observable facts of the hibiscus flower. So that person could be lying straight out their teeth. I'm not saying that you would necessarily believe them. I'm just saying that person could be lying out of teeth. And so what you do in research, which is good research, is you take multiple opinions from multiple different people about.
I said I did that.
This is why I said this is good research. It's a good research technique that you take multiple opinions from several different people about the hibiscus flower, and then from that you make logical inferences on whether this person is correct or that person is correct, and then, but you have to compare that eventually to your own experiences with the hibiscus flower.
No, I don't. If I pick up a rose and ask a person, "Is this a hibiscus flower?" I hate that word. I can't say
that
it,
first
right?
sentence. That first sentence that you just said.
Then if I pick a rose,
if you pick
and
up
say,
a
"Hey,
rose,
is this a hibiscus flower?" If I ask the wrong person, they might be like, "Oh, that could possibly be a hibiscus flower. Who knows? It could be a different breed." But then I would go to multiple different sources because I'm like, yeah, no, I think that this is a rose because that's what I've been taught is that this is a rose. So I would go to multiple sources. That's what I'm trying to express to you is that I'm not just sitting here reading one article and saying, oh my God, all of this is true. No, I'm going to multiple different sources and then I logically make a decision on what it is that I choose to believe is possible. I didn't even say fact. I said possible.
Yeah, like I was saying, the first sentence you said was, I picked up this flower. Remember, the last statement I had said was, you have to eventually compare that information to your own experiences with the thing. Right? You picked up a flower. You already are having experiences with this flower. You're trying to figure out whether it's a rose or a hibiscus flower, right? So you already have experiences with it. You have a smell, you have touch, you have feel, you have sight, you have color, you have all this information you've already gathered. And now you're going to ask the information about what type of flower it is from the people that you claim to be knowledgeable, quote unquote experts, whatever. And then they're going to give you information about it. And now you have to compare that to the information that you've observed about it.
But here's the thing. There's a lot of things that I see and I read and I watch where I can logically see with my two eyeballs that is a plausible thing. So then when I go and research the different things, let's say, for example, I'm going to make it quick because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, we beat this.
Say, for example, I'm watching something about the Anunnaki. I'm watching something about the hieroglyphics. And I can see in the carvings, in stone, I can see something that is formulated and shaped like a spaceship. Let's just use a spaceship, for example. So then when I say, okay, well, now I want to see what other people think about this. Then I will go and I will research and I will look into something that I literally can see with my eyeballs. Excuse me. It's not as if I did not see this. Nobody just told me this. I'm like, oh, that does actually look like a spaceship. Let me research it. And then I start to get into history and things and other opinions, articles, research papers that say, hey, that could possibly, and you see, I keep using the word possibly because I'm not saying it's fact. I'm saying it's possible. So it's what I guess what I'm trying to say is just because it's not in the scope of our brains to think that this could be doesn't mean that it's to be dismissed. No, I'm not making sense to you, Maurice.
It's not about not making sense. It's just
you just don't think like me. It's okay. I'm so glad I never dated you. Lord have mercy, I could never date you. Jesus Christ.
So, all right. So
I meant that with love.
oh shoot.
All right.
So boy.
Let's go ahead and do this real quick so we can get and this is what Jessica is really talking about. You ever seen this before?
Absolutely.
That thing look like it's straight out the Jetsons.
That is an actual hieroglyphic that was found. It looks like a spaceship. It looks like helicopters. Like we've had this technology for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
So,
but see, my point is this is the thing I'm trying to drive here is yes, that could be 100 like a possible. It's very possible that that is accurate information and you're observing that correctly. But what I'm saying is there is a good plausibility. I'm not saying a majority, but a good plausibility that that's because that's secondary information and it's not primary information. You didn't dig it up. You didn't see it in its original habitat. You didn't see where it came from. But, you know, you're trusting the people that did that they're representing it correctly. And they're taking the pictures of this real thing, right? Because that whole thing could be fake. I'm not saying AI fake, but there's people that have done hoaxes. I don't know if you remember the tabloids where they would say that we found this like mermaid skeleton or whatever. And right. So I'm not saying that's what this is. Don't get it twisted. What I am saying though, you have to trust that the person that are presenting this information are doing it correctly and they're presenting it accurately.
Well, Maurice, it's all real quick. I just want to say one thing before you do your identification, your station. It's in stone. They took the time. Listen. If I take the time to like wet some tablet in concrete and then to draw a damn helicopter or a UFO into some concrete, there has to be some truth to it. Some truth to it.
Did I deny that? I never denied that.
But no, you kind of are because you're like, oh well, it depends on where it comes from, and
no. I'm taking a stab at your confidence. That's my whole argument. Is that
Momo wants to say hi.
What's up, Momo? Hey, where's my popsicle?
Hey,
where's my popsicle?
There's no more popsicle.
What means no? I want one now, please.
Purple.
There's a purple one. Okay, save it for me. I'm coming for it.
Okay, Maurice gonna come get the
that's
popsicle.
Gonna be gone by the time you get there, Maurice.
Go in the house, baby. I'll be in a minute.
But see, here's the thing: over the decades of me going through these rabbit holes and stuff like that, before AI, before all this CGI and stuff like that, there's been videotape evidence. There's been stuff while it was being uncovered. There's been documentaries on these expeditions, and these things have been exposed and uncovered. So some stuff you can't really duplicate like that. You can't create it out of thin air. You can't.
But that's the problem, right?
But what's the problem? Why is it a problem? Because my thing is if if you're watching this stuff happen and nobody's uncovered these things before, and they uncover it and they show you this, and you still deny, what is anybody to believe? There's been a wristwatch, a little tiny wristwatch that was discovered in an archaeological dig. Keep in mind, this dig was never touched before these people got there. This was in stone, like literally in stone. It was carbon dated. How the devil did a wristwatch get embedded into bedrock? How is that possible? Like, we don't have all the answers. We can only speculate that maybe it was time travel, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. We can only speculate. We don't know because we weren't there. But when I look at evidence presented, what else do I got to go off of? I don't have nothing else to go off of. You got somebody right now saying the Tyrannosaurus Rex wasn't what the depiction was. It was a big bird, because ostrich skeletons look identical to the Tyrannosaurus skeleton.
All right, I think this will encapsulate my point very clearly, because I don't like, I'm not disagreeing with certain aspects, but the fact that you're arguing about certain things that I'm not really arguing against. Like, if I was to go back, or if I was born in like the 1400s, 1300s, and I did research on medicine, what type of information you think I'd find? I'd be finding stuff on alchemy. I'd be finding stuff on leeches. I'd be finding stuff on good bile and bad bile. There'd be no microscopic understanding. There'll be no germ. I wouldn't be washing my hands, and because washing my hands wouldn't be necessary.
Yeah, it'd be quite
right. Like, so, like, and if you had asked me, why, am I confident in this stuff, in the leeches that I'm using to suck the bad blood out of this person, and it's going to make them well, I would have said I'm very confident because I learned it from said expert or person that I did, and I did my research, right? But once you actually involve the actual scientific method and you figure out certain things and you develop new technology, and you get more information, you start to realize, wow, these people in the 1300s were pretty ignorant. Not their fault, but they were pretty ignorant, right? And they were overly confident based off of the research, and they did their research. I don't know. Does that make my point a little bit clearer? What I'm trying to point out?
I get what you're saying, because you can only go off of what you have at your disposal.
I'm not saying. Remember, I'm not blaming them for being.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. You can only go off of what you have at your disposal. They didn't have what we have at our disposal right now.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where the ignorance lies at. Ignorance is not knowing something that you don't know. Like,
that's all thing. I mean, what you said right there is the whole encapsulation of what I just said.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. So that's my whole point. Like, a lot of the stuff.
But we also don't know. Okay, can we look at that in a different way? We also don't know what we don't know. So it can go both ways.
Hold on.
We don't know what we don't know. So we don't know certain things that could have happened way back in the day. We don't know that either. But we are indoctrinated and we are taught to believe certain things to be true when there are possibilities that those things are not true. And I think that, hey, Dedrick, now we gonna get together and we're gonna do a topic on this one, because it went left and right, and then it did a U-turn, and then it came to a stop sign and a yield. But I think that this topic is very important sometimes, because in order to understand history, we actually have to dig. I have the Sumerian tablets, the Emerald tablets. I have the Dead Sea Scrolls. I have the Ethiopian Bible. I've read all of these books. When I say I research, I'm not playing. Like, I'm not talking about I watch a couple of skits and a couple of two-minute little things on Facebook. You know what I mean? I literally read into this because it interests me. I'm a history fanatic. And history does always repeat itself. It truly does. But I think that we lack true knowledge of true history because it seems so far-fetched that we don't want to believe some of the things that could possibly, see, I used the word possibly again, that could possibly be our truth.
And that's the thing. A lot of stuff has been discovered recently that was widely believed for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So they're finding out more stuff now because they have more capabilities to find out what the truth is to a lot of this stuff. So in some cases they were saying that, just like with the Book of Enoch, there was like a lot of it would challenge how religion was built, what religion was built off of. A lot of the things that they're finding, a lot of archaeological digs and finds are challenging a lot of the stuff that were traditionally passed down and stuff like that. So it's a lot of stuff that's being discovered now more so than ever, because now we have certain capabilities that we didn't have back then. For me, I'm a person who believes in a lot of possibilities. I don't sit there and be like, because I had an ex-girlfriend who would get upset with me because I believe that there are alien beings and UFOs. She was like, no, God created humans. So you trying to tell me he's a limited God now? He can't do more than just us. Now think about how many stupid decisions the human race makes on a daily basis. And we're the most intelligent species, the only species. That's disturbing and depressing. Like I would like we're more intelligent. We're intelligent life forms, sure, but you have to open your mind and expand your mind. Like even when you're discovering submersible, submerged USOs, unidentified submerged objects and stuff like that. These things have been photographed and videotaped coming out of freaking water by the Navy. Like these things are real. I don't go off of, like, for me, I don't believe everything I see. Like Jessica was saying, I do my due diligence and stuff like that. Now there are some computer graphic stuff. Sure, there's CGI everywhere, but they do that intentionally to give you pause. That doesn't mean all of what you see is false. It just simply means there's enough things to have doubt. In doubt, you're supposed to think critically. You're supposed to try to freaking rationalize or disprove what you're seeing. You're supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, you're supposed to do your due diligence. You know what I'm saying? But it's irrational to sit there and say, "Oh, nah, that's not true." How do you know? Were you there? No. Now you might ask us the same thing. Well, why do you believe that? Were you there? No. But look at the evidence that it tracks. Just to wave your hand and say, "Oh, that's not true." Oh, the government wouldn't do that. Oh, you're being willfully ignorant. You know what I'm saying? That I'm not talking about you as in you. You know what I mean? But I'm saying when you're researching things, research things with an open mind. Any of you, when you come across information, dig. Don't just blindly believe anything. Don't just blindly disbelieve anything. Like you need to have some basis of why you're not believing it or why you're believing it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot that we don't know about this earth. There's a lot that we don't know about our history. There's a lot that has been revealed about the history that is contrary to what we've been taught growing up in high school. I mean, in elementary school, middle school, high school. Then you get an adult and you learn that everything was a lie. You know what I'm saying? That's just weird to me. But that's what the truth is. As it turns out, that's what the truth is, because now more truth than ever is coming out. And they're coming with receipts. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, So we're gonna introduce our sponsors. Our sponsors, first sponsor is Meet the World Image Solutions, whose founder, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson, is the founder of this literary services company. Whether you need editing, ghostwriting, um, uh, help with publishing, help with structuring your new book. If you're an established author, whether you're not, we are upcoming author, please go right straight to Meet the World Image Solutions for your literary services needs. And that you can find them at www.mtw, as in Meet the World Image Solutions.com. That's mtwimagesolutions.com. And also by Mr. Craves Cookies, where it's a party in your mouth. That is my baby personally. We have over 54 different kinds of cookies and bars. We don't do cakes. We don't do cupcakes. We do cookies and bars. And we have over customers in over 28 states and growing. Matter of fact, I think I just got my 29th state. I actually did. They received their order on today. So that creates my 29th state. So I'm extremely excited about the growth of my company and everything. So if you want some amazing cookies, and I'm not just talking because it's mine, I'm talking based off of experience, you go to IG at Mr. Craves Cookies or TikTok at the Mr. Craves, and check us out and see what you want. Request for a menu, follow and request a menu, and I'll send that to you post haste. Also, we got on stage Mr. Maxie himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Go ahead, Maurice. Tell them where to find you and your music.
Yeah, come check me out on my YouTube channel. It's Maxie Studio Music, spelled lowercase M-A capital X, lowercase S-I. Get out of here with your YMCA stuff. I always mess up my commercial. You see me mess up your commercials, I don't mess up yours. So don't mess with mine. Maxie Studio Music on YouTube. Come like, subscribe, and comment. I love hearing from y'all. Make sure you enjoy it. Let me know what you think, good and bad. I love hearing it all.
All right, y'all heard it here first, guys. Go to YouTube, M-I, quick letter, I. Never mind. Anyway, so yeah, go right there and go find him. His music is like that, man. Go and check him out, and everything, guys. So, and to close out, we started with truth. You know, is truth subjective and ways to tell the truth, guys. You know, just my for me, and I'm gonna move it to Miss Fields and Maurice, is that you need to tell the truth with most of with pretty much all your situations, but there are going to be some times where you have to tell the truth in such a way that is translatable, that in such a way that is palatable to somebody who is more sensitive than another person. Just being harsh across the board is not going to be how you get your message across. Just because you say, well, this is just who I am. Well, being who you are, you're going to be very much misunderstood, and your points are not really going to get over if your way of telling the truth is hurtful and painful. The truth can be painful. I'm not telling you the truth is always this hunky-dory butterflies in the sky. That's not the truth. The truth can be painful. The truth can be liberating. The truth can be happiness when you are speaking the truth about who you are. Always speak your own truth. Always believe in your own truth, and stuff like that. However, sometimes truth can be a delusional thing too, because what you think is the truth in reality isn't. So you have to really make sure you're very, very careful about what you choose to lie about and stuff like that, and who you lie about it to, and whatnot. So Miss Fields.
So I perfectly said. I would just add to that that don't always think, and I mentioned this in the beginning, most times, and I'm speaking for myself, and I probably think that most people can agree that if somebody is telling you something, if they're taking the time to tell you something that you may not like, It's probably actually because they care about you. Because they wouldn't take the time. I know I wouldn't. If I don't care about you and you doing X, Y, Z, I'm just gonna be like, all right, well, if you like it, I love it, and I'm gonna go on about my business. And so, if somebody is really taking the time to be brutally honest with you, and I say brutally because sometimes, no matter how you put it, it's gonna be brutal for someone. It's truly because that person cares about you. It's not because they hate you or they envy you or anything like that. They just really want to see you do better and they want to see you act right. So sometimes just take that information with a grain of salt and sit back and actually reflect and replay, because I mean we're all mad at first, right? You just got in a heated argument or debate with somebody, and I've experienced it as well, where later on I'm like, you know what, that person was actually kind of right. Yeah, I was mad that they said it like that, but that person was right. And then I'd have to go back and be like, you know what, you were right. Thank you for pointing that out to me, because I needed to change that. You were correct. So don't always take it as an attack, I guess is what I would add. Just because somebody is telling you something you don't want to hear doesn't mean that it's an attack. 9 times out of 10, it's because they actually give a damn about you. So that's what I would add as far as that goes.
All right. Thank you so much. Maurice.
Yeah, no, I'm a little upset. I missed the truth part of this conversation because, as you guys know, one of my things is I say I don't lie to my kids, and y'all didn't like that too much. But
you got to keep it in context, though. You got to keep it in context.
Yeah, right. Listen, we can deliberate that another time. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna stay on that. I think this word truth, or the concept of truth, I think, at least in the English language, is very hard to use this language to maintain the context of all the aspects of it, because there is the truth. The truth is what I would consider objective reality. It don't need anybody to believe it. It don't need anybody to see it. It don't need anybody to experience it. It stays the way it is, and it's unchanging. That is the truth. We as humans have a hard time fully perceiving that. So when someone claims that they have the truth, I always am skeptical. I'm gonna say this is whenever anybody is able to perceive something that seems accurate based off everything that you can see as well, I would call that a truism. That's what I like to use, that word, truism, because it's true, maybe true enough for use to not get you into trouble, not to bang, so you don't bang your head. The wall's there, the wall's there. Well, is the wall really there? I don't know, but if I keep walking, I'm gonna hit my head. So it's true enough, that truism. There's also telling the truth, right? There's that word, the truth, again. But when you tell the truth, you are trying to represent reality to the best of your ability. It could be false, but it doesn't mean that you're lying, right? That is telling the truth, right? So this is where the language starts to conflate on top of itself, and it becomes harder to express whatever it is. It creates confusion in how people try to represent truth. The concept of subjective truth, this is stuff that only you can experience. These are your internal feelings. If I say I'm angry, ain't nobody gonna tell me I'm not. If I say I'm happy, ain't nobody gonna tell me I'm not. These are all true. This is the truth. But that's just a subjective experience that I'm having. It doesn't mean it has any bearing on what's going on outside of that. And that's the realm it should stay in as well. So, yeah, when it comes to this concept of truth and truisms and what is true, what is not true, lying, misrepresenting, there's a lot more words that are necessary to really completely flesh this whole concept out. And we didn't even get into the concept of omission and what that means and being honest. And yeah, like this is a wide, very, very, very wide.
It's a bit,
right?
It's a big subject, yeah.
Because there was some stuff that Jessica was talking about as far as Dedrick was talking about as far as essentially I'm a paraphrase, but you essentially overwhelming people with information about reality, right? You don't. Sometimes something could be true, but to beat somebody over head with it will not get the results that you need out of them. So you may want to not be dishonest, but be graceful with the information. And is that lying? Is that misrepresentation? Is that manipulation? Like, these are all things like, so these words that there's certain concepts that we don't have enough words to fully describe the whole scope. But there's other concepts that I say that we use too many words to describe the same thing. And one of those concepts is encouragement, persuasiveness, and manipulation. For me, those three things are the same exact thing. Because if I tell you, your ass is fat, you need to get to the gym, I could be manipulatively saying it. I could be doing it persuasively. And I could be doing it as encouragement. You won't ever know the difference because that fully comes down to my intention. But I'll land my plane there.
All right, I think all of the planes are in the dock.
You gotta wave them in, man.
So thank you guys so much for attending and checking us out and whatnot. Once again, I am your host, Dedrick the Cookie Man. That is your host, Mrs. Fields. And once again, to our stage, you on mute. You on mute.
No, I was saying my bad. The lighting. I got the lights for the ducks and the chickens in here, so my bad.
Look like it's daylight.
Okay. We know you one of those beings that glow underneath the skin. You don't gotta make up nothing. Okay, we got you. So, and once again, thank you so much, Maurice, for coming in and offering your insights as well. So thank you guys. Please come back and check us out next Thursday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. This has been Soul Flow Conversations. We will see you next time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Man, I'm so mad I missed the